If my kid hangs out with your kids and my kid is the only kid that does not come back alive, everybody dies.
An 18-year-old star football player found dead after vanishing during a 4th of July boating trip with friends, as questions swirl about what led up to the teenager's tragic death.
Well, the fact that they continue to tell the family that we don't see any evidence of any foul play, even though you have students who recorded an altercation.
We live in a world right now where you will accept the very worst of us. You will say, he scared me, he attacked me. All you have to do is conjure up this notion of the angry black man.
So Mississippi police just came out and said that Nolan Wells' death wasn't a crime and there's no evidence of foul play. But if you've been paying attention to this case at all, you already know something stinks here. And Nolan's family isn't buying it either. They requested an independent autopsy, and they're saying that police are trying to suppress evidence, including a video showing Nolan in some kind of altercation with his so-called friends right before he ended up dead. And now DL Hughley is speaking out about this, and he's pointing out that this isn't the first time police rushed to say there was no foul play when a black person died after hanging out with a group of white folks. And I'm gonna get to that in a second, but first, let me break down the timeline in case you're just now catching up on this story. So on July 4th, 18-year-old student athlete Nolan Wells from Ocean Springs, Mississippi, traveled to remote Horn Island with some white boys on a private boat. His friends came back to the mainland around 4:30 in the afternoon, but Nolan stayed behind. The story goes that he was talking to a girl and was supposed to catch a ride back with somebody else, but he never made it home, and his mom reported him missing that night. And by July 6th, a park ranger found Nolan's body in the water off the northwest tip of Horn Island. They confirmed it was him through dental records, and an autopsy was performed on July 7th. However, the results of that autopsy haven't been released to the public. Now, the local authorities first said they were going to thoroughly investigate this case, but then 2 days later, they turned around and said there's no evidence of foul play, while the investigation is still ongoing. And here's why the official story sounds suspicious. Despite police claiming there's no evidence of foul play, a video surfaced that appears to show a heated argument on Horn Island, in the same area where Nolan's body was eventually found. Now let's talk about this group of white boys Nolan was with. As soon as this happened, they all ran and got lawyers and deactivated their social media. Now, the full list of names of these friends on the boat has not been publicly released, because of course it hasn't. However, social media users have been able to identify one of them. His name is Warren Cole, and he happens to be the son of Ashley Cole, a judge for District 16-2 in Mississippi. And this woman is already putting out statements trying to shut down speculation about her son's involvement. She also admitted she deleted her social media, supposedly because she was scared for her son's safety. And then she also said she wanted to make sure nobody in her family would try to interfere with the investigation because her son is fully cooperating with police. But if she really wasn't trying to interfere, why is she even posting this? Why does a judge whose son is involved in a death investigation feel the need to get out in front of the story like this? And by the way, her son's excuse is that the boat was, quote, taking on water and had an, quote, issue with the bilge pump. That's why they had to leave at 4:30. He said they had to get the boat back before it sank. So your boat is sinking and you're in an emergency, but you leave your friend on the island and he just decides to stay there with no food, no water, no way to call anybody. Now here's where it gets even crazier. Nolan's family has now hired famous civil rights lawyer Ben Crump, and he revealed that Nolan's friends left the island but took his phone with them. Think about that. They left him on a remote barrier island, but somehow they made sure to grab his phone before they left. Nolan's mom confirmed this, and she said during the search that she and Nolan's dad actually had his phone while they were looking for him. So the phone made it back to the mainland before Nolan did. And then Ben Crump also said that when the family got the phone back, they immediately noticed something wasn't right. Multiple messages had been deleted, and they're now trying to figure out why.
Have been asked to turn over his cell phone to the Mississippi law enforcement authorities, but even that is troubling to them because they're saying messages that were deleted from his cell phone, so they want to try to dot every I and cross every T and investigate everything. They said it's very improbable that Nolan would not have wanted his cell phone with him if he was going to stay on the island.
Mm-hmm. The deleted text messages on his phone, his parents found that? Who found that out?
No, well, they got his phone, so they're trying to figure out there's deletions on the phone and they're trying to look at what is that about. There's so many inconsistencies going on. And
on top of that, Crump also revealed that Nolan's, quote, friends allegedly pressured him to take some substances. He refused, and that's reportedly what led to the altercation. Nolan had a Division I football tryout coming up. He was clean, he wasn't drinking, and wasn't doing anything that could mess up his shot. And according to Ben Crump, Nolan, quote, made it clear he didn't want to indulge in anything that would show up in his system. But these other kids on that boat were apparently pressuring him, and he wasn't having it. And then there's also conflict in the stories. The girl Nolan was last seen talking to around 3 p.m. told investigators that after they talked, Nolan said he was going back to the boat. But the boys on the boat claim Nolan told them he was going to stay with her. So which one is it? She's saying he went back to the boat. They're saying he didn't. Somebody's lying, or they're all in on this together and deliberately trying to derail the investigation. Now, let me tell you why this case sparked so much reaction online besides the obvious reasons. This isn't the first story like this where a black person dies under suspicious circumstances after hanging out with a group of white people. Remember the Tamla Horsford case from 2018? She was a 40-year-old black mom of 5 who went to a slumber party in Georgia with 7 white women and 3 white men. The next morning, they found her dead in the backyard. Her head, neck, and torso were all banged up, but officials said she got drunk, fell off a deck, and that was that. Obviously, Tamla's family didn't buy this, and they brought in their own medical examiner who said those injuries couldn't come from one fall. And then it came out that the boyfriend of one of the women at that party was a court employee who got fired for looking at her case files illegally, and he was the one who found Tamla's body. So then, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation reopened the case after people got loud about it, but they closed it again real quick and no criminal charges were filed. So now folks are looking at Nolan Wells' case and saying it's history repeating itself. And this is where DL Hughley comes in. He brought up Tamla Horsford's case and posted these side-by-side photos of Tamla and Nolan with their white friends. And he wrote in the caption, somehow there's always a lack of evidence of foul play. And then, knowing the history of Mississippi, a lot of people are now speculating that the local authorities are actively covering up the truth about what happened to Nolan. Someone on X wrote, since Nolan Wells was more than likely flirting with a white girl, I think every weird occurrence noticed on the island at that time should be investigated. There could have been another racist there, mad about him being with a white girl. It is Mississippi after all. And another user said, how many times is Mississippi going to repeat history? The story of Emmett Till is renowned as a rare tragedy, but my home state repeats itself with a different young black man all too regularly. So regularly that I saw the photos of Nolan Wells on that boat and knew he was the missing person before I read further. So regularly that I saw a young black man surrounded by white men and immediately got a pit in my stomach. Rest in power to Emmett Till, Nolan Wells, and every black kid in between. But let me hear your thoughts on this case. How do you feel about the police immediately ruling out foul play? Drop your comments below and I'll get back to you with an update as soon as we have something new.